Continuing onward in Carpe Astra, here we have Red, who spent $1 to draw 2 new cards, realignment. Managed to get 2 that they could use. They actually didn't have to even pay to place pieces. They were set up already to hit blue. Now, the only question here is, do they have things they can take? And the answer is yes. There's some colonists at the very least. They're not terribly interested in colonists. But coins look like a better deal than colonists. And I can take coins and religious. 2 of those. I have $1 to spend to take the first one. Actually, I have bucks coming off of these, I believe. Yeah, it's a single credit each round. So the cards are paying for themselves still. The card I threw away goes here. Not. It's a network card. It doesn't go with the slanders. All right, and got to remember to do this. I keep forgetting. That has to come off the board when you do a slander. So far, I don't think anybody's bonused from it. I just caught it afterwards. Black was also able to do the same kind of thing. 2 cards already. They more or less were set up. They didn't have to pay anything. Card comes off for this, but they hit red. And their choices from red, well, there aren't a lot of good ones. They could take a red piece, but they have a strong superiority there. There are no colonists there. There's no politics there. So they'll just take 2 blue and get started on that. That gets them 2nd place in that, which is worth something to begin with. I forgot to deal out cards to red. Blue, black also will get them. Keep going. Blue's in a troubled position. Remember, they had to pass last turn. Well, they have no board presence whatsoever. So it's unlikely they're going to be able to turn those 4 different 4 different elements, although both score this turn, into anything valuable with the money they have without overreaching. And now this one will score next turn, and it generates money as well. Money is good, especially for them. Sometimes it'll generate cards which aren't necessarily going to be too helpful here. So now the question is, well, where can they score these easily? And that's what I'll be looking at. I guess I can do it on camera. Okay. So they need a world and a green. And they need somebody they can take these things from, right? Nobody much. Everybody has a green, so that's not going to be a problem. So if I can find world green on someone. Well, 3, 6, 9 here. 3, 6, 7 there. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Black looks like I'd rather hit them. They've got kind of nice terrain around them, unfortunately. I mean, they were clever about it. And green and world, well, I could pay $1 to make their world a little bit less pleasant. And I think it's worth doing, because they're doing quite well right now. Green, world, I gotta pay another $1 to hit them at all. And there's no way, even if I had the thing set up, that I could hit them with this next one. And in fact, I'm not going to be set up to hit them on the next one, because those are different locations, blue and red. I'm going to be set up to hit maybe her. That's fine. So I'll turn this face down. This produces me $1, and I get to steal either a green or something I can't have at all. And I'll take the green. This comes off, and I get a backup slander card, which doesn't look like it'll be helpful next turn. Onward. Well, yellow's got a crap hand this time. They don't match the colors at all. They don't have a lot of money, so they'll swallow that $2 again. Last turn they had the cards, just not the money to do anything. But they're going to have to take another breather turn in a row, and that makes it unlikely that their things will score nicely. We have an immediate, so whatever this is goes into the chuck pile. Now we're down to the last 3 turns. Everything's known at this point. There's no way around it. Red continues their assault on blue. They have a lot of pieces around there, so it's very easy for them to get continuation. They had to spend a pip to grab a couple of new cards, and they ended up with ones that helped them here with the coins on them. So they're going to be able to fuel what they get. Now, what do they want to take? Take this off. They want to take it's coin, green, and world. Well, they definitely want a green, and they want a coin. Of course, that's making black less and less of a target. As they have less and less different choices, they become less valuable to actually attack. Red gets to draw their cards, though. This is a 2 extra credit one. You don't want to miss this one. And this is an extra card, which isn't going to help. Cards on that last turn aren't going to be useful at all. Money on that last turn would be. Alright, on to black. And black was also able to take advantage of the position they had. Actually, I already moved the pieces. They grabbed a coin and a blue, I believe. Everything was kind of equally valuable. The text they would have been taking second place on, though, and the coins they were taking a tie for first. The blues they took first place on. So these seem worthwhile cards, worthwhile choices to them. And again, they paid themselves off. Here's the problem, though. They only got $1 going into that $2 turn. That's going to be tough. Of course, they only drew one thing. Maybe they can get away with it. They had to spend $1 this turn anyway. Okay, on to blue. Blue took a pass, grabbing a couple extra bucks to go into this key turn here. Yellow, on the other hand, did not take a pass, and I'm kind of regretting it. They spent $3 to set themselves up like this to hit red. It's really hard to hit black. Black is like, maybe yellow too, but nobody's been targeting them the same. But black is, even with this positioning, they've got too many holes on them compared to, say, blue, who's really easy, or red, who's kind of not that hard. You can rotate things and usually get something on red. The positioning that you make early in the game, how much you put things in your own court, that's how much risk you're going to be at the end, and it's going to be really hard to defend yourself. And that's something I didn't realize how bad it was in a multiplayer game. In a 2-player game, it's not that big a deal. One person, you know, you're directly opposed, but in 3 or 4, it is definitely interesting. Okay, so now yellow has gone after black. Now yellow is probably trying to look like or after red, but they've wiped out black's pieces. Yellow is probably becoming somewhat black's target at this point. They're the person black has to knock down to maintain a lead over, but yellow is also in a somewhat more defensible place and less easy to steal from. So it might be better to just do, as yellow chose here, this race mechanism and try to steal as much as you can from the weaklings. Okay, so where are they looking? Well, they could take a green. They could take a coin, which they want. And now the question comes down to, do they want the blue or the green? The green would solidify their hold, but they don't really need that. They'll pick up a blue. Who knows what might happen in the future? And they get their 2 cards. And this is not going to grow anymore, but the cards still come off the board. Red was looking at an attack on black. It was going to cost them the ability to win twice. Unfortunately, they paid to draw so that they had a shot at that, and they got it. And they set themselves up on blue so they can win twice, but they're not going to get double payouts here. This card does not produce anything they can take. This one does, so they only get 1 chip. They get $1 from that, but they get $2 per card, or they lose $1 for that, but they get $2 per card, so they make $3 back, which gives them a little bit going into the next turn. And I've got to shuffle in order to draw. It's definitely not optimal. They would have liked to have weakened someone. They would have liked to have gotten 2 chips. But they were set up here, and they felt they had to do what they did. Black's in a position where they're with their $1, they can't score either of these cards. Rather than take a draw now, they're going to pull their 2 coins now. See what that gives them next turn. They're pretty much played out here. On to blue. Blue, on the other hand, was able to double score. They only get $2 because 2 of the bucks are paying for the taking of the chips, right? They took a blue and a black, and they were able to do it against black, which is quite potent. Spent everything they had. They may have trouble getting into this next round. We'll see. Yeah, they got a green card, so they may get something. They're so far behind, like red, it's really unlikely that they're going to have any shot at this, though. Yellow went for a draw, hoping to pull some money for this turn. They failed to get anything they could do. They only had $1, as, you know, kind of the same position black was in. They took $2 as their pass, and now we're down to the last turn. The last turn is going to be tricky, because if you want to take things permanently, because there's no money on this card, there's just draw an extra card. If you want to take things, you got to have an extra buck to take the tokens. Of course, everybody's set up still for slander, so they can take things away from each other without paying. Well, red's laid out pieces against black here, able to pay off both their cards. They actually are going to get to hit them twice. They're not going to get to take 2 things to keep, because all they get is card plays for the others. But that's okay. Red-green. They'd like to take the red. Black would be interesting. Blue would be interesting. I mean, they'd like to take everything, right? This guy's in the lead. Well, black they're going to leave alone. Yeah. And actually this is gone. That was a successful slander. So they will take... Well, where is she getting points? She's getting points from red. I would love to take red. I can take 1 red, and I can tie that. And that cost me $1. And now I can take 1 away from her, and I'll take that away in blue. Which may not be the best choice, but it gets rid of the card. I'm going to not replenish red's hand. There's no real need to. You're going to move forward. So black can't score both of their cards. For 1 extra buck, they can score this one, which means they'd be $1. They'd have 1 extra buck beyond what they can take. So they're going to spend $1 on a draw and look at what else they can get. And I'll take a look at what that. This is very promising. Buying that card was a mistake. I forgot about the buck I got to spend to actually make the attack. And now I can only get 1 of these cards off successfully. And I'm not going to be able to take the item. Which means we totally screwed up. I'll take a coin away from him and throw it there. And it's very easy to make those mistakes here, because once you start placing pieces, you can't even take it back. You can't redo everything. It's hard. It's too hard to remember what's on the board. So even in a friendly game like I would tend to play, it would be almost impossible to fix the board after somebody starts pawing it. I'm seeing in solitaire, I can't reverse things. All right, on to blue. And even blue, it's not terribly potent here. They're able to get 1 off and spend their buck to take it. They can take a world. They're pretty good on those and don't need them. A coin, they don't really need that. And a black, which would give them tie for first. So they'll take that from her. And that's going to be a big swing away from her. That leaves it on yellow, who's actually doing pretty well here with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The majority, the largest number of pieces. I think he's got a chance of winning. And I think that's a positional thing. Being in that last space, nobody gets to see how good you get at the last turn. So if he can gain maybe another piece, it's pretty good for him. And he's got a couple of bucks to do so. Well, yellow's setup was such that attacking red made the only sense. They could actually fire off both their cards. They weren't able to do anything with this second one here. They managed to grab a blue. Oh, actually, they could grab a blue with that. They could ditch a green from red. So they were able to grab a blue and hurt red a little bit. Red's not their opposition here. Black is. but they weren't set up to do much with black, and it seemed more important to actually take something. Let's take a look at what the scoring is going to be like then. All right, what is it? 4 and 2, I think, for points. Yep. Okay. Well, let's take a look at the reds. And so here, the reds are split. So each player gets 3 points. And I could be scoring these on paper. Just do that. Assuming my pen works. Big assumption. Red, black, blue, and yellow. So red and black each got 3 because that's the value for a split. Black, let's do them next. Well, first place goes to blue, who gets 4 points, and black gets 2 for that. And those have been scored. Okay. Let's go to blue. Blue's a split for first place, tied between blue and yellow, at 3 points each. And already you're saying, wow, that blue pulls something off. They're not doing too badly, are they? Yeah, you got to kind of watch where the points fall. But why? There's only 2 of these. I think blue and yellow split. Blue and black should have split too. They each have 2, not. I thought black had 3. Blue had 3 blacks, and they don't. Okay. And now we'll go to the yellows, and let's see. We got a split there between black and yellow, who each get 3. And now we're seeing black is doing quite well, a full point ahead of everyone, but they're not going to score anything else. We got a couple of big scores here for yellow and some scores for blue as well, I think. Let's look at those big scores. Well, for the planets, for the colonists, that's 3 points each for blue and yellow. And now we got a 3-way tie. And then with the engineers, we give 4 points to yellow, giving them the win. And red and black each get a point. And we can just add those up. But it's quite clear what kind of distribution we see with the score. And what did that come from? Well, I think a lot of it came from 2 things. The positional thing, and then people attacking black so heavily, and yellow having that last position where nobody really paid attention to what they were going to score at that end. I'll come back with a review of this sucker. I just don't have a lot to say in the wrap-up here about this particular game.